Hello, GonnaGeekers. Steven Jondry here from GonnaGeek.com and from Better Podcasting. Also here with SP from Better Podcasting and GonnaGeek.
Hey, everyone.
So we just finished a Better Podcasting. You can see SP's put his backdrop away. And I thought I would take this opportunity to do a quick video about how I use Xsplit. I've had a lot of people ask me how I use Xsplit, so I thought, well, I've got SP connected. I might as well use him rather than actually just have the blank Skype screen. So let's just go ahead and I'll just quickly walk through here a little bit about how Xsplit works. So if we take a look, the way that I've got with Xsplit, if you're not familiar with it, essentially on this left spot here is where you see all of the different layers. And so every different item that I've got to do with the recording is there. So I've got like a title card, I've got an audio sound card. I've even got, if we scroll down a little bit, this Skype session. So yes, that's what I'm doing is I've got SP routed in through Skype. And then I've got Xsplit set to capture this Skype window. Looking up here a little bit, we have the C922, which is my camera. And then we have all of these different layers. The right side's where I've got what's called different scenes. So every scene you can have a different configuration. Right now we're looking at what's called the both screen. If we look at some of these other buttons, you've got like the SJ, which is Steven, and then that's just me. You've got the SP one, and that's just SP. And then we'll go back to the both. Now, some of these other ones here are things that we've used in the past. I won't go ahead and do them, but like when we had video feedback sent in, I had them all queued up. And so I could just go through and select these. So if we go and we take a look, we'll go back to SP since he's actually looking at the camera and I'm looking down. If we look at SP here, we'll see all of these different layers here that are configured specifically for him. So this one here is actually the sound card, and that's just the general recording, the general capture, the mix down of everything. But then if we look down, this single compressed is my overlay, my Better Podcasting overlay. If I uncheck that, all of a sudden we can see everything else. And I just noticed for some reason, SP, there's a gray bar on there with the on the side. I don't know why, but there's a little bit of a gray bar. But we could always go ahead and move that, but I won't for this demo. It's a waste of time. So I just have that overlay on there. And then as I move down, these are some other images that I've set. So when we want to go ahead and put a title bar, I just check it and I give #PodPressure. Now, if we go into the settings under that layer, what I can do is I can select how it comes in. So I can have it do any different sort of transition. So I just did the move left. So it moves in and moves out. The same thing goes for his title bar or the general contact. And I just go in and check them on and off like you're seeing right there. And then from a Skype perspective, it's the same sort of things. I've just told it to capture a Skype window. And then I have different layer or different settings for this layer. So I can crop him. And if I wanted to move him over like we were talking about, I can go ahead and, oh, well, that's really what moved you high. We can go ahead and move him wherever we want to go ahead and move him around. You can click and drag, but that's how that works. Now for me, and now you'll just have to go ahead and look at me look down. That's really uncomfortable. Is if we go into the C922 settings, what's nice about Xsplit recently is if you've ever used a C920 or a C922, you've probably seen many times that when you reset or restart or do anything, maybe you sneeze, it seems like the settings are automatically changed. So with Xsplit, they've recently made it so that it retains those settings. And I have had this feature, I think for a month, maybe two now. And so when we go in, if I go configure manually, we go into video input, you can see these are all my individual camera settings. And so I can just set the brightness however I want it. And this just took me time of adjusting, looking and going, oh, it looks a little too washed out, or it looks a little bit too much contrast. Maybe the color was off where I looked and my shades of orange were completely different. So I would just go and adjust that until I got that right. And now the settings are saved. If you are doing this on a Logitech camera, I encourage you, even though Xsplit's supposed to retain it, take a screenshot because it will save you time if you ever need to go back and manually set those. So that's all I did there, was go in and set those settings so that it looked proper. And then there's the camera control. You have a few extra options in there if you want to go ahead and adjust the focus. But those are all the individual Logitech camera settings. And that's how I made that all work and look as it does. I've had some people say that they found that their camera doesn't look as good as SP in mine. Well, we both have gone in and adjusted some settings and really looked for the right lighting. And that makes a difference as well to make sure you're well lit with these cameras. Now, wow, see, now all of a sudden you're big again, SP. I don't know what's going on with Skype here today. But that's the bottom line of how I set it up. Essentially, everything is all just different layers. And again, back to me, if you look, it's the same sort of thing where we've got the exact same layers. And if I want to go ahead and copy and paste something, I can just go ahead and do that. Like if I copy this, I can go now back over to the SP layer and I can go paste, and I can either do it as a new or a linked source. A new source means that it's going to treat it as its own element, its own entity. A link means that they operate hand in hand. So if I go paste as new source, you'll see that it's now on his frame. So that's how that's all set up. That's the basic functionality, though, of how I use XSplit. I've had a lot of people ask about that. And the key is just to go and add in all the different elements, play with how they look, make yourself an overlay if you want. You don't have to, but I like that because it kind of masks a little bit of the ugly elements. Like if you've ever noticed, Skype has a preview window, you can kind of hide that. You can, it's also branded, like with this, it says better podcasting. And that's all that I really wanted to show. SP, before we wrap up the video, anything that you want to show?
No, just every time you actually use XSplit, make sure you test out the sound cards, because they could change as you start up your computer. It's happened to me more than once, as well as if you've identified displays or windows, just make sure that you have mapped everything appropriately before you start recording, because if not, then you're going to have to stop recording and fix everything along the way.
By the way, I just switched so that people could see that, like, I just pushed the button, see, like that. Just push the button back and forth, back and forth.
Yeah, it's great. Now you use a switcher keyboard.
That's the other way you can definitely do that as well, is I've got a SteelSeries keyboard. So I've gone in and I've just set different macros to do hotkeys. So I just push one key and see, you'll see my mouse isn't going to move. Watch the screen capture. My mouse isn't going to move. And I'll go over to SP and I'm just doing that all through the keyboard, just with the one hand. So there you go. Simple as that. Which is
doable. I do it with the mouse, both with OBS Studio and with XSplit. I use the mouse, but if I was using XSplit more often, I would probably map some keys and do it that way.
I'm lazy. So thanks for checking out the video. And that's just a quick walkthrough of how I use XSplit. If you have questions, get in touch with us. Write a comment below. Tweet me. It's at Stephen John Drew. Oh, look, I could just go over here. See, all I could do is do that. I could put my layer up where it shows my contact in. Oh, hide that one. That's awkward. That's really awkward, but we'll do that anyways. So there we go. We'll put that other layer back, and there you go. So you can Facebook me, you can tweet me, and that Instagram's not there anymore. So there you go. Oh, I missed that one again. Well, technical difficulties. There you go. Bye.
Bye.